I had the opportunity to listen to so many people's opinions on Kirk Franklin and his son. Everybody's got an opinion. But what I found to be quite interesting is the people that had the strongest opinions are people that don't have children. You have no idea what it's like to raise a child. You have no idea what it's like for your child, the one you protected, the one you took care of, to disrespect you. Now, it's easy for you that don't have children to say what you would do and what you would not do. It's easy for you to point fingers at Kirk Franklin and say what he did wrong. But in a situation like that, I highly doubt if you would take your own advice. See? And especially those people out there, especially females, that you didn't even raise your child. When you got pregnant, one of the first things you did was dump your kids off on the grandparents. Your moms or your mother and father raised your child. But yet now you feel that you have all the answers and you have all of this parental experience of what it's like to raise a child when you weren't there for your child. Your parents raised your child. You wanted to go hang out with your friends. You had your boyfriend, and your children were in the way. So you always dump your kids off on your parents or your parent and left them to raise your kids. They were the ones that got up at nighttime when your child was crying, or when your child was sick, or when your child needed something to eat, was hungry. It was your parent or your parents that raised your child. So now you have an opinion on Kirk Franklin, on what he should and should not have done. And for you dudes out there, especially black dudes, you have no opinion. Listen, if you have no children, if you ran off and left your kids and the mother was left to raise your children alone, or you dumped your child or your children off on your parents to raise your kids because you weren't ready to settle down, although you felt you were grown enough to open your legs and pop out babies. So now you have an opinion. If the grandparents raised your child, if you ran out and left your kids, not just men, but you got females that do that too. There's a lot of single parent dads out there where the female was not woman enough or parent enough to raise your child. So now you have an opinion on Kirk Franklin. You're condemning him. And you have a lot of naysayers out there that's using this opportunity to bash the church. That's why I don't go to church. These Christians are them Christians and them people, and they do this and they do this, and that's why I don't go to church. No, you don't go to church because you don't want to go to church. See, that's you again. It wasn't enough that you didn't raise your kids. You dumped your kids off on the grandparents, or you dudes or females walked out on your kids, or you don't have kids, but yet now you have all the answers for Kirk Franklin. And you're saying that what he should and should not have done, and if I had a chance to sit down and counsel him, this is what I would do. Well, why don't you take those skills that you claim to have and use them on your kids? See, when you raise your kids and we see how upstanding citizens your kids are, they're not cursing out the police. They're not out there getting their knee put in their neck. They're not being gunned down by another black person. When you do that, then I can listen to you. But until you raise a child yourself, especially you have a teen or even an adult son or daughter that curse you out, that disrespect you. Now, in the Bible, it says for the father to love the wife as Christ loved the church and was willing to give himself for it. And it tells the wife to honor your husband, submit yourselves to your own husband as unto the Lord. It also tells the child to submit yourself to your parents. But then it tells the parents not to provoke your child to anger. So everybody's got a responsibility that they need to mind. They need to mind their own business. But what if you had a child that cursed you out and you told them to leave and they tell you, I ain't going nowhere. They in your house. You supposed to be the man of the house, and now they're in your house. Your son is in your house. Your grown son or even a teen is in your house telling you, I ain't going nowhere. Put me out. What you gonna do, Dad? What you gonna do? For you people out there that's condemning Kirk Franklin, what would you do? Oh, I would call the police. Oh, okay, well, what happened to F the police? What happened to snitches get stitches, right? See, it's a different rule now, right? You know, you changed the game now, right? First it was like, I would do this and I wouldn't do this to my son and I would sit down and try to, well, what if your son is a disagreeable? What if he doesn't want to listen to you? What if he doesn't even respect you? For whatever reason. And just because a child does not respect their parents, don't mean the parent did anything wrong. You could just have a disagreeable, right? But y'all want to say, oh, this man did this to his own child. How could you curse your own child out? I remember my mom used to say when I was growing up, she said we make her so mad, how we can make the devil curse, right? There's people that can make the devil curse. You know, they can just get under your skin. So what would you do if you had a teen standing there in your face telling you in your house, I ain't leaving, put me out? Now you may call the cops, but it takes time for that cop to get to where you are, and a lot can happen in that short period of time. What would you do, Dad, that's got so much opinions and you giving Kirk Franklin all these kind of like, for Kirk Franklin, if you listen to this video, you can talk to me and you need to do this. What would you do, Dad? You don't have no kids. Or you walked out on your kids and the child's mother was left to raise the child by herself. Or you left the grandparents to raise your child. So now you want to try to pretend like you know what it's like to be a parent. And there's people out there, there's females and dudes that be like, oh, I got a son, I got kids, I got 4 kids. Did you take care of those kids? Were you there to discipline those kids? And I'm going to tell you something too. You got to understand, it's not just you dealing with a disagreeable child, right? Even if the father or the moms weren't good parents, right? When you got a disagreeable child that's in your face, that's disrespecting you, right? You have to deal with this disagreeable child, the law, because at 16 years of age, and probably now younger than that, at 16 years of age, there's certain things you can't tell your child they can't do. You have to let them according to law in certain states, depending upon what state you're in, right? So now you got the law that's dictating to you how to parent your child. You have your child that can go to school and call CPS on you or report you to the school. And now CPS is now investigating you because your disagreeable child knocked on you, right? So what are you going to do? So now you have a lot of parents that feel that their hands are tied. They can't be parents. They can't discipline their kids because of people like y'all that want to judge them. Well, you didn't have to hit them. You didn't have to put your hands on them. You didn't have to. Well, what if the child put his hands on you? You gonna call the police? And like I said, it takes time for the police to get there. Anything can happen from that time that you call the police until they actually get there. So now your child has beat you down, and you the man in the house. What you gonna do? You gonna lay down? You gonna lay down and ball up? You gonna ball up on the floor like this? Your son is beating you and stomping you, and you balling up on the floor like this. Yo, stop, 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 stop. And your son is kicking you. What you gonna do, Dad? You have no kids. So how would you handle that? So, feedback, tell me what you think. Y'all need to be quiet, stay out of them people's business, because you didn't take care of your kids. You dumped them off from the grandparents. You walked out on your kids, or you just don't have no kids. So you don't know, you have no idea what it's like to raise children. So feedback, tell me what you think. Till next time. I'm fearless.